The next few lectures will be the advanced topics. They will be a little bit more advanced maybe. It will contain a few newer things and a few more advanced sections. I will first start with Jenkins slaves. Currently, only one node, one droplet on DigitalOcean is hosting the Jenkins web UI and doing all the builds. In production environments, you typically want to host the Jenkins web UI on a small master node and have one or more worker nodes, Jenkins slaves. Using worker nodes, you can easily expand your build capacity. Typically, one worker has one or more build executors, like building slots. If a Jenkins node has 2 executors, only 2 builds can run in parallel. Other builds will get queued up. First, I'm going to talk about static or manual scaling, so in a non-automatic way. You can have more workers during, for instance, the working hours, or no workers outside the working hours. You can add more workers ad hoc when necessary. You can do this during periods when a lot of code is created, the working hours, for instance. During periods when developers have to wait long for their builds to be finished. For instance, you can spin up more workers when it's necessary, or you can have those scheduled. For instance, every morning you schedule that 5 workers need to start because the developers will start coding and building. In the evening, there will be no more commits, so you just schedule it to shut down all the slaves and you don't pay those hours to your cloud provider. Then there is dynamic worker scaling. You have plugins that can scale Jenkins slaves for you. For instance, you have the Amazon EC2 plugin. If your Jenkins build cluster gets overloaded, the plugin will start new slave nodes automatically using the AWS EC2 API. If after some time the nodes are idle, they will automatically get killed. This is a very useful plugin if you are an Amazon customer, because then the EC2, like the machines, they will be created automatically when you need more capacity and they will be shut down when they're not doing anything. Then you have a Docker plugin, and this plugin uses a Docker host to spin up a slave container, run a Jenkins build on it, and then tear it down. So you can have a generic Docker slave and then use this plugin to let it spin up a slave container. Then you have the Amazon ECS plugin. It's the same as a Docker plugin, roughly, but the host is now a Docker orchestrator, the EC2 container engine, which can host the Docker containers and scale out when necessary. ECS is a Docker cluster. It's an orchestrator. You can just specify I have 3 machines and all those 3 machines run Docker on it. And then this plugin can pick one of those 3 machines and run your builds on those. If all 3 machines are busy, then Amazon will spin up more machines automatically. You still need to configure all those things, but that's the principle behind this. And then you have the DigitalOcean plugin. You can dynamically provision droplets to be used as Jenkins slaves. Builds can then be executed on specific nodes. A node can be labeled. For instance, you can say, I have a new node and that node is called Windows 64 node. Builds can then be configured to only run on nodes with a specific label. This can be configured in the UI as an option or using the Jenkins file. And in the Jenkins file, it's very easy. When you define node, you just define an argument. And the argument here is a label and the value is Windows 64 node. So this build will only run on this Windows 64 node that you have created. It can be one node or it can be a bundle of nodes. And then this build will then just run on one of them.